love making these like, oh man, well I stand against racism, guys. I stand against racism, which is why I'm over here telling you unconditionally this cracker discourse has gone too far. I wonder what that's about. Reddit is too easily brigaded, and a lot of people, whether they acknowledge it or not, get duped into being willing or unwilling participants in Destiny's PR campaign. Because he was going unhinged bananas mode on Ludwig and Cutie and all of that. And then all of a sudden, they released the pressure valve. Frogan says cracker. Frogan says Ludwig engaged in cracker-like behavior. And then, oh my God. And then I do an hour of coverage on it saying, I don't think Frogan's reaction, the way that she reacted, is valid. However, I do understand where her anger is coming from, considering that, a lot of people falsely smear pro-Palestinian charities as like being pro-Hamas, and offering any credence to that narrative, at worst, basically solidifies it in the eyes of a lot of people in the margins, or at best, basically says that you're capitulating to the reactionary mob that will come after you and cancel you. And I think that was a fairly nuanced critique of the situation, where I said I recognize the frustration that Frogan had, and also simultaneously recognize that Ludwig himself is an overall good dude, and I think he was doing his best. And regardless of that, his second statement after donating $10,000, which is great, was simply to say that I'm worried about members of my community not being fully on board with a charity. Now, that's not clippable. That's really interesting you said that, because someone did clip it, but you wouldn't see it because it got downvoted heavily. Buddy, your community was on me in Discord for getting beat up in school for being white. Yeah, we know, brother. We know. We'll talk about that in a second, too. The thread you were talking about, LSF, got deleted. I mean, those threads can pop off, by the way, all day, every day. I don't really give a shit. My point here is that those threads are absolutely, without a doubt, an echo chamber. You go anywhere in the real world and try to engage with people, unless you're at a clan meeting, you go anywhere in the real world and talk about like how awful it is that you get bullied for being white, a group of white guys are going to laugh at you. I myself am a white guy who laughs at that notion that you are being personally victimized and being hit with racist attacks for the marginalization that you experience as a white guy. And I don't think most white guys are like this, for the record. That's why, I mean, in Florida, there's dudes who call themselves crackers. You know what I mean? It's a moniker that is self-adopted because the etymology of it is different. The etymology also still gives power to white people in this circumstance. And this is a conversation that I've had a million times over. It's a complex conversation, only if you want to make it complex. But I am totally fine with having this conversation over and over again with those who are willing to listen, except it's much easier to just go, no, you're just an anti-white racist. And I think a lot of people, especially white people who are in these circles or who are extremely online, because I do see this like on Reddit more than anywhere else, have the capacity to lean in to the reactionary tendencies, and that is a very fearful prospect, that white identitarians, Nazis and the like, can so quickly weaponize this discourse, talk about like, yeah, white people are the victims, actually. And if you looked at those Reddit posts, if you are one of those people who's like, yeah, no, white people get, ritualistically humiliated, blah, 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 blah. If you are one of those people who feels that way or finds themselves in the throes of this kind of discourse and leaning on the side of like white people being victims of racism, reverse racism, if you want to call it, look to those who are on your side, look to those who are defending you and what some of the things they're saying. And perhaps then you will understand that you are on the wrong side of this argument, because your side is filled to the brim with dudes who are using this discourse to further radicalize you, oftentimes to much success. This is the reason why, although this is a laughable notion, I routinely find myself defending this issue, even though it's a silly one. People who say stuff like, isn't Hassan openly racist like all the time? He is only not racist against blacks and Muslims, which makes it okay. Sometimes it's good to just take a peek at like people who are on your side defending you on the white people are under attack discourse and consider what their worldview may look like. People that say blacks and Muslims. Hassan thinks black people can do no wrong. Shit like that. Here's another one. They're talking about the word cracker because I laughed at someone complaining how racist it is for a white person to be called cracker. So basically, Hassan says judging someone by the color of their skin by using a racially motivated slurs is okay. He got so horny that he couldn't even write this correctly. Surely this will lead to consequences from the Twitch moderation team. Remember, folks, I have the motherfucking pass. Probably said it before, but used to be a very fanatic right-winger and you got me out of it. Keep up the good work. It helps. Yeah, this is why I do it. This is why I do what I do, because I want to make sure that people that are on the edges, on the precipice of radicalization towards right-wing ideas, I hope that they can take a deep breath and reconsider their positions before leaning in to the comfortable bosom of right-wing reactionary politics, because that kind of discourse, that kind of ideological aspects can be very comforting for people that want their biases to be reaffirmed, for people that want their biases to be reaffirmed by others instead of re-examining the way they see the world. That kind of discourse, this kind of discourse can be captivating. It can create a safe space for them. It can make them feel like, instead of doing the hard work of like really reconsidering, really trying to empathize with people that have less than them or are different than them, it's much easier to just find a group of people who say, no, dude, your shit's actually fire. Let me tell you here, let me give you a little bit more about like how white people are getting fucked over. These people will simultaneously say you aren't white because you're Turkish, then get mad when you try to explain to them white is a made-up concept made to only include the preferred in-group. I know, which is ironic because they don't personally see this as well. Do you adhere to this rule, though? If you personally think that I am an anti-white racist, and that is like a real concept, like that I see white people and I think like, oh man, this white person is going to colonize my space or whatever, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. I'm white. Now, if you don't consider me to be white, well then, you know, you're kind of telling on yourself, while also personally coming to the recognition that whiteness is a political tool and you are currently applying it. The people that I consider to be in the out group, if I were to draw boundaries, are not done on inalienable characteristics, but instead on issues like their thinking, reactionary thinking. As you guys know, I personally am not anti-religion either. I am, however, anti-religious fundamentalism. Religious fundamentalism that causes people to try to take away certain people's rights and liberties on the boundaries of religion. It doesn't matter if this is a Muslim fundamentalist, doesn't matter if it's a Jewish fundamentalist, doesn't matter if it's a Christian fundamentalist, right? If I personally didn't believe that people could not shake away some of these opinions, I wouldn't be doing what I do. If I thought that like people could not be reasoned with and change their minds, why the fuck would I be spending any time whatsoever? This is something that I hope people can be a little bit more charitable about and understanding on. I know not a lot of charity out there, not a lot of charity here, especially if you're primed into so much hatred, especially if you watch a lot of drama videos that say I suck, that I'm awful. But I do hope that in this very moment, you can maybe be a little bit more understanding of what I'm trying to say. You won't lose anything if you try to comprehend what I'm saying here. I promise. But in any case, it does strike me as odd when a content creator openly says the N-word and it doesn't drive discourse for 3 days in the same way that another content creator saying cracker does. I don't know why that is the case, because I know that XQC and Asmongold would both not find it to be conscionable or appropriate. Froyo said cracker with a negative connotation to offend Ludwig. Let's not pretend this edgy joke is equivalent. That stuff is banned here, isn't it, Lamau? When will he understand that there's a difference between saying a slur for a joke and target a slur? Like, these people unironically are saying calling a white person a cracker is literally worse than a white guy openly saying the N-word. That is the discourse for these guys, which if you were to have this conversation with real people out in the real world, I suspect they would look at you like you're an insane person. Do you understand? Like, that is a psychotic part of discourse. Why are these people more offended than Ludwig, who it was said to? I know. That's a whole other aspect of this as well. Oh, for the record, I do want to mention something here. For intent, as far as intent goes, you were saying intent matters more than the actual words itself. In a situation like that, calling a white woman a Karen would be just as hateful and just as harmful. Except we have no disagreement there. Most people would laugh at you if you were to try to champion the anti-Karen cause, to say that Karen is actually a racial slur, which many people that write articles have tried to do. The intent matters more than the word itself.